Hello, Graphic Design 2. My name is Jamin Nikonoski, and I chose to present about Alvin Lustig. So let's get into it. Here we go with Alvin Lustig's biography. So Alvin Lustig, he didn't really have a long life. He lived a total of 40 years. He was born on February 8th, 1915 in Denver, Colorado. And then he also died on December 5th, 1955 in New York. The reason of his death was that throughout his life he suffered from a condition that everyone's familiar with, diabetes. But back then in the early 1900s, it wasn't very treatable as it is now. So with someone suffering from a case from diabetes, it's really hurtful to their health. And then we also have his education. So he went to Los Angeles City College for an art degree in design, and then he also studied design with Frank Lloyd Wright. And this was after he got his degree. And him and Frank Lloyd Wright, they just kind of studied design together in their own studio. And then, so let's get into the jobs. So, Alvin Lustig, he actually did a lot of stuff. He was mostly an illustrator. He kind of painted books. He did a lot of book covers, ads, stuff like that. So he first of all started with Westways. And that was a little company for magazines and newspapers. And this was right after he got his degree, and he started at age 18. So right out of school, he got his first job. And then for most of his life, he worked with New Directions Publishing. And that was pretty much his profession for the total of the 40 years lifespan that he had. And then he worked in a studio for his last dying years. Throughout his life, he actually got some teaching jobs. People wanted to teach him to teach at a couple of different schools, like art schools and everything, and he actually got offered a teaching job at Yale, which is a pretty famous college. And then I also like to mention that after his death, his wife, she had actually taken over the studio that he had worked on for his past years. And then I also wanted to add this in here, the health conditions. With the diabetes, at age 39, he actually went blind. And when he went blind, he kind of got a new perspective for painting, and he started to paint portraits. And some believe that he missed seeing faces of people that he knew, so he would draw portraits to kind of remember and give him that feeling of what it was like to see. So I just figured that I'd add that in there. And then we got types of art. So like I said, he did ads, book covers, portraits, and he also did interior design. So he would do ads for interior designs. He would actually make new interior design. I know he made the Paramount chair, and that was pretty famous back in the early 1900s. And then let's move on to his artwork. So when he did work for New Directions, you can see on the screen that he had these sample artworks. So let's start with the Mallarmé poems. I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly. But this particular image is very simplistic. It has very minimalistic, and very fancy handwriting right in the middle, and it says Mallarmé Poems. And the layout leaves a lot of empty space up top, but from the look of it, it doesn't look too out of whack or anything like that. And then we have the color of it. It's kind of a contrasting purple and white. You don't see that color combo very often. So when you see it, it's very unique. And then that background color of that grayish kind of brown. And then the Perspective USA piece, we get the very common mustard and ketchup colors, the red and the yellow. And then to kind of tie that in together, we have that blue title, the Perspective USA. And this image particularly is very simplistic as well. It has the title, and then it goes down in like a column order. And to me, it's honestly very well done. And then if we move to the Wisdom of the Heart, this one is a little bit more design added to it, and it's very abstract. It's not very common that you would see this type of design, with all the shapes and the arrows and the circles and the triangles. But same as the Perspective USA, this one is red and white, blue as well. And then next we have his designs for design literacy. So here we have industrial design number 1, number 2, and number 3, all in the same year. And if we look at the number 1, we can see it's almost like a stacked colors and columns, and starts off with yellow, white, red, gray, black, white, and then back to blue. So that's very interesting, and in this era, you don't really see that very often. You will see the colorful stuff like that in this era, and that's pretty common. But the typography is very interesting because you got the bolded title at the top, and then a little random line of text, the second column to the bottom. And then if we could move to number 2, we have, it's very interesting because the layout of this, it's not very symmetrical at all. It's kind of just like we got a red circle, and then a camera and a tractor. And then if we move to the number 3, we have this weird looking mesh, and yeah, it's kind of cool with the green. You don't really see green as a color in design back then. And then he also worked for Westways, so here's 3 samples of his artwork for Westways. Just looking at these 3, you can kind of see a theme of like a yellowish, kind of pinkish central theme. So the first one to the left, it's very abstract and very unique. Just with the lines and circles.
I'm not sure I understand.
And then with all the one in the middle, you get all those randomized words. For this era, this is pretty common because you would see those like those word clouds and stuff like that. And then the fortune, the one on the right. This one is pretty unique, how the colors sort of mesh together, and it has a lot of empty space. And then with the ads, here we go. He did do some ads. We had the Null ad, and that is pretty abstract. And the Jason Shirts ad, that one is really abstract as well. The colors all coordinate together. And then we have the Force and Freedom. And this is pretty simple and solid looking piece. And then he also worked for Look magazine. So this one was more of a photographic design that he did. With the first image, he kind of pieced together a lot of the photographic images. And then for the second and third, well, for the second one, he kind of did almost like a double exposure, low opacity, exact copy of the image, which was really cool. And then with the Look, the one on the right, the guy's boxing, this is a very dramatic piece of art, and with all the text at the top. So here's my annotated bibliographies. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll be looking forward to hearing some questions and answering them. All right, have a great day.